Welcome to the Stripe Show podcast, another happy hour edition on this Friday, December 17th. This time next week, Santa will be ready to take flight. It will be almost Christmas. I cannot believe it is somehow December. Well, it makes sense that I can't believe it. It's like 80 degrees in Orlando. It's insane. Our guest this week needs no introduction. Not even going to go there because I know I would miss something and it would be doing her an injustice. You know her, you love her. Paige Spiranac. Paige, thanks for joining me on the pod today.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm so excited to have you here, but I want to start like taking it way back. I want to take it elementary level because we're friends, but the people listening to this podcast probably don't know you that well. Let's take it back. You played in college. Unlike some female golf influencers, maybe you don't need to go there. You can actually hit the golf ball, which might be one of my favorite things about you. Tell us about your start in golf and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So I was actually a competitive gymnast for a very long time, and I ended up fracturing my kneecap twice and had a bad birthday for the Olympics. And so when I say that, you have to be 15 or 16 or turning 16 year of the Olympics, and I would have missed it. So the first year I would have been eligible, I would have been 18, which is kind of past your prime, and it just didn't line up. And as we know, gymnastics is just really hard on your body. So I quit, and I was like, what am I going to do now? I was spending 8 hours in the gym every single day, 7 days a week when I was, 10 years old, and it was my whole life. And so I really wanted to be a professional athlete. And so I sat down with my parents and I was like, what can I do? Tried tennis, and I was like, this is just a little too much on my body after gymnastics. Like, what else? And my dad's like, hey, like, why don't you try golf? I didn't come from a big golf family, but my dad, he enjoyed it. And so he took me out, hit the first golf ball, and I loved it right away. So I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to play golf professionally. And so I was homeschooled because of gymnastics, and then kept being homeschooled for golf. Did all of the juniors, as you know, like AJGA, traveling around. Ended up getting a full ride to play golf at San Diego State University, and did that for, obviously 4 years. And then I didn't have a great college experience with golf. I think I was just a little burnt out from junior golf. I mean, people don't realize how intense junior golf is, and it's almost like you are playing full time. It's your job. You need to get the full ride scholarship, especially. That's something that I needed to do. And so when I got to college, I was like, this is a lot. Like, this is a lot of traveling and playing, and I'm burnt out. And so I quit, put the clubs away for about 2 weeks. And then I was like, I really miss it. So I talked to my dad, and he was like, okay, how about this? Let's just give it 1 year. We'll try to do whatever we can. You'll play professionally. And I was like, okay. So I was caddying, I was running junior golf clinics, doing everything I could to just have some money to play professionally. And so I did that full year professionally, and had some ups and downs. Got an invite to play an LAT event in Dubai, which, caused a lot of controversy. But yeah, I mean, my goal when I started all of this was to play professional golf. And, I played at a pretty high level, and I was really disappointed when I didn't end up playing on the LPGA tour. And I think that's something that people have a misconception about. I was doing media work to pay for my golf career. And, I didn't go into this thinking like, oh, I want fame and I want followers and I want this. I was like, no, I just want to play golf professionally. And it just didn't work out for me. And so the option was either you feel bad for yourself and you cry about it, or you keep moving on and you have to support yourself. And so that's what I decided to do. And that's kind of how the whole media career came about.
That's a crazy story. I completely relate to the getting burnout thing. Obviously, I played in college, and I ended up quitting in college, like with 1 semester to go, because I was like, oh my God, I cannot do this anymore. Like, this is, and college golf is like another thing too. Like, you're running on someone else's schedule. They're telling you, what to practice, what to do, when to be where. It's like, whoa. Like, I did this junior golf thing on my own for a while. Like, I think I got it figured out.
Well, not even that, but I think one of the biggest challenges is how much school you're missing. And so you're constantly playing catch up, and you're doing assignments on the road. I remember I was playing regionals in Washington, and I was up at 3 a.m. in the morning finishing a paper because it was a group project. And 4 of my other, classmates in the group didn't get me the assignment on time. So I had to like wake up early, get it done. And because I wasn't there for the presentation, my professor was like, nope, you don't get the grade. And so there's like so many challenges like that, because I think a lot of the professors, I don't know if it was the same for you at UNC, but they just didn't value women's golf. And so it's like you have football and basketball, and they were getting free passes left and right. But when it came to women's golf, they were like, figure it out. You
Yeah.
missed class, like figure it out. It's on you. And there was no help, no support. We didn't have enough budget to pay for an assistant coach. We didn't even have more than like one pair of golf shoes. And so when we were playing 36 holes when it's pouring rain, it's like we couldn't switch them out. And it was a grind. It was truly a grind, 5 a.m. workouts. And I don't think people realize how hard it is to play D1 athletics.
It's difficult, especially when you're not in those top couple sports at your school. Like
Yes.
it's difficult for sure. But you mentioned kind of a weird relationship with the LPGA Tour, and that's been something that I've really admired you speaking out about, because it's tough. Like it's tough. You're a woman in golf, and speaking out about something like that is hard. Talk a little bit about it. We don't have to go super deep into it. But what's been the issue there? And I know there was a little sour taste, like you said, when you got an invite to play in that event in Dubai. Was that kind of the start of it?
I think so. Well, I think it actually started before that, with just how I was building my brand and marketing myself. As you can see, I don't mind being sexy. I love my body, and it's just a part of who I am. And even in junior golf, I was always getting in trouble on AJGA because my skirts were too short. It wasn't something that I was like, I want to make money and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to over sexualize myself. I have just always kind of dressed more on the provocative side. And it's just, again, kind of like a part of who I am. And I'm very comfortable with that. And I think a lot of people were upset by that, especially in golf, because it is so conservative. And if you don't even wear a collar, people are like, she's a stripper, she's doing porn. And I'm like, I'm wearing a fucking turtleneck. Like, what are you talking about? So I think the beginning of it rubbed everyone the wrong way. And then to get the sponsor invite on top of it was not great. And when I accepted it, I was like, this is just, an LET event. It's not going to get that much traction. And it ended up blowing up. And from there, I didn't handle that well at all. I was not prepared for it. I wasn't ready for it. Looking back, I don't know if I should have accepted it. I'm glad that I did, because I wouldn't be where I am today with it. But it was just very traumatic and emotionally draining for me, being there and having the girls not accept me. There were very few who were nice to me. I mean, no one would even go next to me on the range. They were making comments like, who did she blow to get this invite next to me? Like, I could hear them. They were making horrible comments, calling me a slut, like right next to me, talking about me. And so I just felt completely outcasted by everyone. And that's not like who I am. I mean, I felt like I made a lot of friends throughout, playing junior golf and college golf. I'm like, I know you and you know me, it's not what it is. And I think we know that it's very competitive. It's very competitive. And we're all fighting for, sponsorships and spots. And I understand that and I get it. But I think where people were getting it confused is that when I was getting these deals, I was getting them on the media side. I was not signed as a staff player, an LPGA player. I was signed on the media. So I was doing all of the media work, and that's how I was getting like free clubs and endorsement deals. And so, again, I think they were getting confused. Like, she hasn't earned her way there. She doesn't deserve it. And yeah, I didn't deserve it. But on the media side, I did, because that's what I was doing. And that's where I was most successful. And so once I was done playing and I realized, like, this isn't the path for me. I don't want to play. I'm not good enough. It doesn't make me happy anymore. It's lonely out there. I don't want to do it. I said, growing the game of golf and women's golf is very important to me. So I went to LPGA Tour and I said, hey, I don't want any sponsor invites. I don't want to play. All I want to do is help you. How can I help you? And they said, we don't want your help. We don't want it. And I was like, okay. And a lot of LPGA girls reached out to me privately, sending me very nasty messages saying that I'm a disgrace to women's golf. And ever since, they're like, you don't even deserve to talk about women's golf. And I said, okay, I won't. If that's how you feel, I won't talk about it, and I won't help or be involved at all. And it's very upsetting. I think that it has gotten better, just being at events with these girls and having them get to know me on more of a personal level, and compared to, how they see me online. Because I know that I'm very different than the persona that I have built. So I think once they get to know me, then it has gone a little bit better. But the first couple of years of doing this, it was very rocky.
I can't believe that. Like,
Yeah.
I believe you obviously, but I don't want to believe that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That's crazy, and that's disappointing because you would want a woman with a following not to take that and make that like what you are, but you would want to somebody who has that platform and wants to use it in that way to use it. And for them to say that, that's really disappointing. Um, Dang, I don't even know how to transition. You ended on the low note there.
No, I think it's gotten better. It was definitely frustrating, especially because they were having all of these campaigns about being yourself and loving yourself. And I'm like, that just is a little hypocritical of you to say that, yet you don't accept me for who I am. And you just kind of outcasted me. And so that was really hard, especially for me, because I'm such a people pleaser and I want everyone to like me. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? But I had to make money. And, that's just how I've decided to make money. And there's pros and cons to it. And I've been very open about that. I'm not saying like, hey, young girls out there, if you want to make money, show cleavage. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can take that route, but there are a lot of consequences to doing so. And if I could have made it on the LPGA tour, that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't have that option anymore. So again, I think when people just look at the surface level of like the brand that I've built, yeah, I can see why they feel that way, and I totally get it. But I do so much more behind the scenes of like working with anti-bullying organizations and the podcast and talking about female empowerment, working with organizations that are actually really positive. And again, people just don't take the time to actually like research that and see that and like get to know me a little bit more.
No, they don't. And that's just the horrible part about social media. And it's a blessing and it's a curse. But one thing that I think that's been great that you've done this year, and I think, when did you start working with PointsBet?
This year. Yeah,
Yeah,
in
that's what I
February.
thought. Because it's been really some of the content you've put out has been so cool. What's been your favorite part of working with them? Because you guys have put together some awesome stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been so much fun to work with PointsBet. I've just only done golf and been in the golf industry. And so that's what I know, and that's my wheelhouse, and I love it. But it's been nice to kind of venture out and do other sports. And we cover everything, because you can bet on everything. And that's what's so cool, from like table tennis to water polo to, football, like whatever you want to bet on, you can bet on. And so it's fun to be really creative and to create content that is different than what I've done before, and to kind of push myself. And a lot of it has been just like really silly videos. I think that's something that, I know I don't take myself too seriously. And I think that a lot of brands try to create these, amazing campaigns, and, they just fall flat because it just doesn't resonate with people. And so PointsBet's been really great, where they give me full creative control, and I can just create silly, stupid content, like how many hot dogs I can eat in 10 minutes. That was one of the videos that we did. Or, when the Olympics were going on, it's like, can I beat the 100-meter record sprints? Or can I, how much can I do for a clean and jerk? And so it's really silly stuff, but it's so much fun and it's so different. And being able to like learn more about the betting world and that culture, it's so fascinating and it's so interesting. So it's been awesome working with them. I really enjoy it.
Well, you guys, like you said, I remember the first time I think I really like sat down and watched one was that 100-meter sprint video. And I was like, I was never not going to click on that. Like, that was incredible content. And you're right. Like, there's a time and a place for like a well-branded campaign with the voiceover and the music and the DSLR camera and whatever. But like sometimes the best stuff is just organic, like me doing stupid shit. Like, and that's like what's amazing about
Yeah.
it. But I know we talked about this before we got on, but we were mentioning this last night that we don't even have our Instagram notifications on. And I don't either, but God, I mean, I don't even have a 1% of the followers that you do. So you've got 3 million on Instagram. I didn't even know you had almost 4 million on Facebook, like hundreds of thousands on everywhere else. And I'm sure, I mean, you've got to be the person with the most hate in their DMs, maybe on the entire internet. Or
Yeah.
in golf space. I have to,
in golf for sure. I've
sure.
definitely cornered that market.
What is the weirdest DM you've ever gotten? Let's start there, because there's a few points I want to hit on this topic.
Okay, so I have a large male audience, obviously, and so I get a ton of dick pics. That is like what my DMs are about. It's like hate or dick pics. It's like one or the other. And so I had this guy who would, on Snapchat where you can like draw and, create little
Yeah.
pictures. So he would make animals out of his dick. And so it'd be an elephant and the trunk would be the dick, or it'd be, a
Oh my
snake. And he
God.
was so creative. He's like a butterfly one time. And I was like, this is actually fascinating. So I just kept going with it. And I was like, I'm going to see how long he will go for. And so he just did it like every month, a new animal. And I finally responded. And I was like, honestly, like, this is great. And he never responded ever again. And I was like, I ruined it. I was like, this is the one good thing in my DMs, and now it's gone forever.
The audacity of him to not respond to you after all of that.
I know, right? I know.
Come on. But you've got to I know you probably get some really nasty stuff. And how do you deal with that? Because it's been years that you've been at this, and I know you're very strong, at least on the outside. I know we all have our weaknesses for sure, but there is some kind of mental block you have to have, right?
Yeah. So when I first started this, it was really hard. It was really hard. I took everything very personally. And I think especially when it was criticism based off of my playing career and how I was shooting for that day or whatever it may be. And as we know, like, golf just messes with you. It's emotionally draining. So on top of that, when people were telling me that I suck and I should give it up, that's when it was the hardest. And it took a couple years for me to get used to it and not take it so personally. And I think the biggest turning point for me was when I realized they don't know me. They don't know who I am. They just know this persona that I've created. And it's a character. It's an exaggerated version of myself. There's pieces of it. And, I think with like the podcast and YouTube, I am very vulnerable at times, and I love to do that. But when you look at just my Instagram or, like Facebook, it's very little pieces of me. And so when you can separate and be like, okay, they're not commenting about me as a person, as Paige, they're commenting on this image that they see, this persona, this character, which is Paige Renee. That's not who I am. And so when you can separate them and be like, okay, they're not attacking me, they don't know me, and you realize it's like, more hate the better. It's good for engagement, and you need that to grow. You need to be controversial. And so when I realized that, I was like, come on, let's go. Like, let's do this. It's fun to see what you can do to almost like get a reaction out of people. And so a lot of my content is very sarcastic. So a lot of the comments are about people just not really understanding it or getting it, or I'll wear something because I know that people are going to comment on it. It's a game when it comes down to it. And so if you play the game right, it's fun. And it's not, this personal attack on yourself.
That's so funny that you say that, because my boyfriend doesn't have any social media, so he doesn't really get that. And he'll say like, well, why did you tweet that? Or like, why would you even say that? And I'm like, it's all a game, Connor. It's
all a game. And everyone's playing it. Everyone's playing it. I mean, everyone on social media is on there for attention. They really are. I mean, no one's on there just to like, tweet out a picture of their dog for their like parents. No, like, you're doing it to get a reaction out of someone or attention, whatever it may be. And if trolls can do that, I can do it too. You can do it too. Like, if you have fun with it, then you don't take it as seriously. And like I said, it's a game. It's fun. It is fun once you get used to it, and once you realize that it's not a personal attack.
No, that's a really healthy way to look at it, because God, I mean, there are so many people who can't look at it that way, and it would be refreshing if they did. You know what I mean? Even people with 1,000 followers get a hate from someone they know, mm-hmm. and they're whatever. But how do you deal with all of these, like, what are they called? Like, impersonator accounts? I swear to God, Paige, I get followed by one of those and DM'd by them like every week, being like, hi, and it's like some other language. Like, they like don't really know how to speak English.
That is by far the most frustrating for me, because it's scary for me, because they will communicate with these men for months and steal their money. And then they come to me crying or thinking that I have, scammed them out of this money. So someone has tried to sue me before. People will get my phone number. They're calling me, threatening me. And it's actually probably the worst part of all of this. I can get hate all day long. It's fine. But when it crosses that line and it affects like my safety, like, that's the problem. And I don't like that. But it's like, guys, it's 2021. How are you still getting catfished? How? You're right. It's like broken English. It's like, hi, dear. Thank you for fan. And I'm like,
The hi dear. The hi
like,
dear kills me every time.
And then I'm like, I'm so busy. Honestly, I really don't have the time to start relationships with like all of these middle-aged men and like around the world. Like that's just not something I'm doing right now. And it's still every single day. Hey, is this you? Is this you? It's you. And I'm like, no, it's the verified account. Just like keep looking for it. And still, I've done stories. I've talked about it, and they still fall for it. They still fall for it every time.
It's honestly incredible. Like it, and that's another thing. How desperate are those people for attention that they would fall for that, right?
I mean, I wish I had that confidence. I wish I had that confidence.
Yeah.
They were like, "Yep, she is sliding into my DMs." Okay, Bill from Kentucky, you're like 65. I mean, come on.
Yeah, like, and your picture is like the gray avatar man, and you have one picture of a beer on your back porch, like in your Instagram. Like, yeah.
I was like, yeah, that is my man. Like, that is who I want.
Oh my God. Well, we definitely have to talk about the fact that you had a hole-in-one in front of Gary Player this year.
Yeah. So one of the coolest moments of my entire life. I played with Gary before, and he is amazing, just like a ball of energy. But I still get so nervous every single time I have to hit a shot in front of him or play in front of him. And we were having like such a great day. I hit this shot, and we're all looking at it, and it kind of kicked right. We're like, it looks good. It looks good. We're just watching it, and then it goes in, and I just freak out. Probably the most like genuine reaction I've ever had to something. And first person I hugged, Gary Player. And it was funny. People were like, "So was that your first one?" I was like, "No, like I've had 4." And Gary was like, "I've had 25." And I was like, always upstaging me. Can't even have my moment.
You're like, okay, I shouldn't have even asked. Thank you.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So cool. It's the first hole-in-one I've ever seen go in. All my other ones were like either, like elevated green or there's a bunker in front. So I never saw it go in, and I never really got to like celebrate it. So it was fun to see it like go in, and there were people there, and they were filming it from all different angles. So like to have it on camera was pretty cool. But how many hole-in-ones have you had?
I've had 4 as well. My first one in high school, I couldn't see. My second one was in college, or no, my second one was at the US Open actually. So that was pretty cool. My third one was in college. My third and fourth were in college.
So. I mean, to make a hole-in-one at the US Open, how can you beat that?
Yeah. People are always like, oh, what was the coolest thing you've ever done? I'm like, I don't even have to think about it. Like that was the coolest thing ever. My dad has either 9 or 10. And my mom has never had one. So that's like we like to give her shit about that. Like quite frequently. We actually have the Poor People's PNC tomorrow. We have the Parent Child for our country club.
I love that.
Tomorrow. So, I haven't hit a ball in a while, and they're texting me like every day. Are you going to go to the range? Are you actually going to go to the range? No. Like, no. I'm not doing that. So,
do you even have like a desire to practice anymore? It's so funny. It's like as soon as I stopped playing, I was a range rat, so I loved practicing and I hated playing. And now it's like completely turned. Like I can't even imagine like grinding on a putting green for like hours. I'm like, how did I do that for so long? And I hated it.
No, I was never a range person because I would hit like 4 balls and then like go sit on my phone for 5 minutes. And if I could do that, then I would be fine. I could do that for a little while. And I finally found a coach in high school who would like work with me like that. Like knew that I needed, I could hit 20 balls and I would be talking the whole time about like high school drummer, da, da, da. And then I would sit on my phone, take Snapchats, and then go back to hit balls. But like, if you're not working with the right coach who doesn't understand that, and he just like wants you to hit, and I'm like, this is not, but I love to play now, but I hate slow golf. So if there's any kind of weight, I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm going in the car. Like, I'm not doing this.
And 18 is way too much. I'm just going to put that out there.
Agree.
Like a good like 9 holes is like perfect for me. Twilight 9, I'll do that. I think they should make it 12 or 14 holes. 18 is just too much. No one has time for that.
I would love that. And I know there's been some talk about making to 12 holes or like 6-hole loops or something. I would even say like 4-hole loops or something like that. I don't know, but 18 holes. And if you think about it, it's got to be one of the most time consuming sports. And then you have to plan your entire day around it. Like if you were going to go play, like tomorrow I'm going to play it. We have to play at 1. That means I have to be there at like 11:30 to play, to get lunch, do the whole lunch and the whole range and the whole whatever thing. And then I'm not going to be done till like 6. It's like, that's the whole day.
Whole day. I hated afternoon tea times. They're the worst.
I would rather it be like, well, we can't because it gets so dark so early, but I would rather it be like 3.
Yeah.
And then just let me go last and then play speed golf. Like,
yes.
Yes. But whatever. But yeah, so I didn't even realize it was the same weekend as the PNC until somebody commented that on Twitter yesterday. And I was like, oh yeah, it is kind of like the basically Charlie and Tiger. But I have to play 2 balls because I'm the only child, and I have to hope that I hit them the good one at the right time, basically. So yeah, it will be
thoughts and prayers sending your way.
Oh God. I want to know the hottest take or the thing that you've gotten the most controversy on Twitter alone.
There's a lot.
Because we all know mine is the Jordan Spieth thing, and I'm sticking to that.
I kind of support that. Dress code is always one for me. Like I don't think that guys on tour should have to wear pants. I think they should be able to wear shorts. Girls on tour, their dress code is ridiculous. Like if they want to wear a tank top, like we're athletes, like dress like an athlete. And I know people want to preserve the traditions and have it be a gentleman's game, but who cares? Like we're progressing. Like why do they have to wear pants when it's like 110 degrees, 100% like humidity? Like it's crazy. They're playing on the East Coast in the summer. Let them wear shorts. It doesn't matter. So I get a lot of hate for that one. I love hoodies on a golf course. That's also a controversial one. Music on the golf course, that's been one too that a lot of people don't like. Honestly, you can say pretty much anything in golf Twitter and it'll be controversial. Like anything.
Especially when you're talking to as many people as you are, I'm pretty sure you can say anything. You could say the sky is blue and somebody will be like, well, when I looked outside my window today, it looked purple. Like, okay.
So I know one. I said, so as you know, when you win the Masters, you get to pick the menu for next year. And a lot of people, it's known that you base a menu off of where you're from. That's just what they do. And so when Hideki won, I said, the Masters menu is going to be fire. That was the tweet. I almost got canceled for being racist. So
yeah.
People thought that I was like, stereotyping him and saying, all of these things. I was like, I didn't even like say Japanese food, nothing. And then people in my comments were being racist to me. And they thought that when I said, oh, it's going to be fire, that it just means like it's going to be really, really good. And I love Japanese food and it's going to be such an amazing menu. And someone was like, I can't believe you thought Japanese food is spicy. It's not fire. How could you even say that, you racist? And I was like, I'm texting my agent. I'm like, I think I'm about to get canceled. Like, what do I do? Do I issue an apology? Like, how do I handle this? Like, and it's something as like simple as that can cancel you, or people can take it the wrong way, and it could be, taken out of context. And I was freaking out because that was the first time that has happened to me, because I'm so careful about what I say and what I tweet and everything that I put out there. And I was like, I can't believe that this is it. Like, this is going to be the thing that cancels me. And a lot of people were like, they're being stupid and you're fine. Like, it was okay. And it was only a couple people, but I mean, that's a couple too many to be saying that.
Imagine if that would have been it. Like, and look at what some people have like truly said that it probably is deserving. And then imagine if that was your thing.
Knowing my luck, probably like that would have been it. But I got out of that one. But I think that was probably my most controversial tweet that I have ever had by far.
It was so like innocent if you know what the word fire means, but there are so many people probably in your like insights in your demographic who like have never heard it used. It's probably like if you would have said it would like it's going to be gas, they would have been like, what do you mean? Like, what?
They don't cook with gas. What do you
in it? Yeah, like, okay, you know what? I give up. Let's talk about three. I picked three hot topics in golf from this year that I want to just touch on and get your initial thoughts. Obviously, we've got Tiger is back this weekend. How excited are you to watch him? Obviously, with Charlie as a bonus, but this weekend here at the PNC in Orlando.
I'm shocked, honestly. After the accident, I didn't think that he was going to play competitive golf ever again. It just looked really, really bad. And just from how his team was talking, and we know that he's notoriously very private. And if they were saying it was that bad and they were being private about it, then it was probably even worse. And, you know, they almost had to like amputate his leg, people were saying. Like, who knows what actually was happening. But I didn't think he was going to be able to play golf again. It was going to be a miracle that he would be able to walk. And the fact that he's playing golf this quickly after the accident is amazing. And now I've completely changed my tune. I'm like, he's going to win another major. I mean, he's going to. Like, he has to. He's going to. It's going to be too good of a story for it not to be. But anytime Tiger's in the field, it's good for golf. It's good for us in media. I mean, he's a lightning bolt, and everything he touches just is great engagement. And it's fun to talk about. It's fun to watch. And especially that he's playing with his son, Charlie. I mean, Charlie's just such a stud. And he just has the swag that his dad has, and just watching them, you know, the same mannerisms. It's just so much fun. So I couldn't be more excited, one, that Tiger's back and that he's playing with Charlie again.
I know it's going to be such an exciting weekend for sure. If you're listening to this on Friday, keep in mind the event is only Saturday, Sunday, because I got really excited yesterday because it was a normal Thursday and I was like, let's go. And then I was like, Tiger's not even playing today in the Pro-Am. And then when tomorrow he's playing with Matt Kuchar. Okay. So not really what I expected. So Saturday, Sunday, 36 holes, but he is playing with JT and his dad. So I love that little foursome. So
yeah.
The Brooks versus Bryson, I don't even know if you call it a feud. Do you call it a rivalry? How do you feel about it?
So I was all about it. So I think that, you know, golf is fairly boring, and what we talk about every single day is boring. It's like Tony Finau won and this is McDonald's menu. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, that is what we have to talk about. And so when we have something that's a little bit different or a little bit spicy, it's fun. And so I love the back and forth with Brooks and Bryson in the beginning. And, you know, Bryson, love him or hate him, he's fun to talk about and he's good for the game of golf. And so anything he was saying was just, again, great engagement. So that was great. Brooks going back at him, and it was fun for a while. And then it started just to get a little bit too much. And I think that if they did the match right after the, what beer did?
Ultra.
Yeah. Ultra. So it's like, if they did the match right after that, I think it would have been absolutely amazing. Perfect. But they already made up with the Ryder Cup. They were like hugging. The rivalry was dead. It was over with. And then it just seemed very manufactured, because it's like, okay, how do we then get back to where it was before when we already made up? And so I thought it was pretty boring. The back and forths weren't that great. I wanted to be a little bit more. I mean, I think Brooks, if he wanted to, could really unleash, but he didn't. And he just kind of kept it like ho-hum, didn't really even talk that much. And I'm over it. I'm honestly over it. I think it's overplayed. It's fake at this point, and it's boring. It's boring to me.
Yeah, I definitely think obviously the match is interesting because it's always at that time of year, and I don't know how they would have like done it differently. Yeah. I do think the match, the extra holes, was where when they started to bet like extra money on like, oh, can I hit another one if I hit the? I'm like, this is what we wanted.
Yeah,
like, give us this, like you're betting an extra 100,000 out of your own pocket because you don't think Bryson's going to hit the fairway. That's what I wanted to watch.
Same.
Like not you like just looking like saying nice putt, bro. Like I'm not out here to watch you compliment each other. Like that's not what I'm watching this for. So I'm totally with you on that. I think it went on for a little bit too long. I think they were like makeup mean. I was like, this is so like 5th grade girlfriend drama. I don't know.
Yeah. It was just a little I wish Bryson leaned into it a little bit more, and that's always been one of my criticisms of him is that he will lean into it and then he'll back off, and I think that's why people tend to not really like him sometimes. If he just leaned into who he is and had more fun with it, I think he would come off a lot more likable. And every time that he does do that, when he at the Ryder Cup drove the green and like hoisted his putter in the air, or like he does these things that are actually, fun and interesting and different, but then he'll say something like, oh, I don't want to be a part of this rivalry, or I don't agree with that, but then he'll say something where he's like trying to, I don't know. I think if he just fully leaned into it and played more of like a villain, he would be so well received.
I think so too. And I mean, at this point with the Brooks thing, like I know he was trying to be reserved in some way during the match, but I don't know if that's because he knows people already don't like him, but like at this point, might as well
go for it.
Yeah, I don't know. So going back to we talked a little bit about dress code. We talked a little bit about music on the course. There's been a lot of talk this year about growing the game. I feel like that's what everyone wants to say when they're behind whatever social media campaign they're running. It's like, this is how we're going to grow the game. How do we do that in your eyes? And I'm not talking from the professional golf standpoint. Obviously, I agree with you. I don't think that pros wearing pants have anything to do with their golf scores. If it doesn't have to do with your golf scores, I don't really care what you do. That's kind of been my take. Like, as long as you're not using some kind of putter that like automatically magnets the ball into the hole, like I don't really care. Like, I don't care if you wear a tank top. It doesn't affect me. I think people should keep their noses like on their own faces, and then everyone else will like be fine. So how do we grow the game for recreational golfers, right? Not everybody has access to the courses that we have access to. And when they do, they're not always as accepted as maybe they should be. So how do we do that in your mind?
I mean, I fully agree with you. I hate when people say, let's grow the game, because they don't really mean it. They're just saying it because it sounds good. They're not actually taking the steps to grow the game. And I think what's really confusing is when we talk about different rule changes, automatically people go, okay, PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, professional golf. And that's what we're not talking about that. We're talking about it at a much lower level, people who are just trying to get into the game. And golf is very intimidating. And it's expensive, but it doesn't have to be. So I didn't grow up with a lot of money. And so what I wore on the range was what I had in my closet, which was tank tops and, like workout shorts. That's what I had. And so it's very limiting to expect people to wear a polo and nice clothes, get golf shoes, when they're just starting. Who knows if they're going to like it or not? That's really expensive, but you can do it on a budget. So I think having more courses that are a little more laid back. So, we were talking about like having a 12-hole golf course, no dress code, having instructors there that are solely there to educate you on the game, the rules of the game, the basics of it. Because I think that we talk about it because it's easiest for us to talk about golf and be like, okay, when we go to any golf course, we know what to do because we've been there before. But think about if you're a first-time player and you go to the golf course, where do you pull your car? Where do you drop off your clubs? Where do you check in? How do you check in? What do you say? How do you get to the range? There's so many things that are so intimidating. And then you get there and people are so snooty and so terrible. And I think that we have more experience and we understand it as women because it's hard. I don't care. I could be the best person on the golf course, but I still get treated as if I know nothing. And it's difficult. And I've been to so many golf courses where I've been there and I'm like, this was a horrible experience for me. And if this was my first time that I was introduced to the game of golf, I would never come back, ever. So I think there needs to be some like sensitivity training or something where it's like some kind of golf course or different golf courses that are accessible. I don't know if it's, like a 2-hole golf course or something where people would just come on and start playing, maybe in like public parks, or there are probably things that we need to do where or maybe if it's like, if your kid is under 10 years old, they get a free bucket of golf balls or something like that. Some kind of promotions, anything that we can do to like get people into the game. And dress code is a huge thing too. I think, yes, private golf courses, professional, should have a dress code. And if you want to have a dress code, that's fine, especially a private golf course. You do whatever you want. I don't care. But public golf courses, why does it matter? Really, why does it matter that you have this much fabric on your collar and that makes you professional? It doesn't matter. So I think it's just kind of like changing the culture and the perspective of golf, and I think that will help. But it starts from up and it moves down, and people in charge are not making the changes that they need to make because they don't really care. They don't want to they don't really want to grow the game of golf. And I've talked about that too. It's like people don't want more people playing golf because it's already slow, it's already expensive. So more people playing, it's going to be even more slow, even more expensive. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. There are different things that we could do, but we just have to think about it. And we have to think outside the box, which is something that people in golf don't really like to do. They like things to be the exact same all the time, tradition, and that's the way it needs to be because it works for us and it's going to keep on working. And it's like, no, like we can think of different things, we can try different things, we can, doesn't have to be 18 holes, it doesn't have to be the way that we've always imagined golf to be. We can change it up, we can try new things, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think more people playing golf is great for all of us involved.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think those places that are coming out, like Top Golf, like Drive Shack, those places are doing a great job at getting people who've never hit a golf ball before out into a place where there's drinks, there's music, there's friends. You can sit down. Like it's an hour, it's 2 hours. It's not 7 or whatever. By the time you get there, you range, you play, you leave. And I think that those places are proving to be pretty, especially after the, people got the golf bug after COVID. Those places are popping. I tried to make a reservation last night or yesterday. The only reservation was at 3:00 in the afternoon. I was like, no. So, I mean, those places are killing it, but I agree with you. I think there's still some work to be done. I'm in the process of trying to, obviously we know the whole dress code situation that happened at my country club, but I'm trying to work with them on a once a month range night for families. So
it's awesome.
Whatever that means, you can wear whatever you want. If your kid's coming from the pool across the street, fine. It's like 1 hour before sunset. Who's that going to hurt? And I know I'm going to get no's from every damn person on that board. But my question is, why does it, like, what's it really hurting? If you want to grow the game and you want those members' kids to then become members at this club to build the legacy of this club, and you're not going to let them on the golf course ever because they don't have the appropriate attire and they have make it make sense.
You don't know how many stories I've heard of parents bringing their kid out to the golf course for the first time and they're kicked off because they're wearing jeans or like the not appropriate golf attire. And I'm like, that kid is never going to want to play golf again. Why does it matter? It does not matter at all. And it's so funny because when I played at, very high-end country clubs, these guys are making a complete mockery of the game and not following the rules, not filling their divots, not fixing their ball marks, driving where they shouldn't be driving on cars. But I'm like, oh, because they're wearing a collar, it's fine. Like, that's fine. It's like you can respect the game and wear Lululemon. Like, that's totally fine. And it's just so weird how people are so tied into like dress code and how that is such a big part of the game when it really doesn't need to be.
Maybe there needs to be like a 2-minute quiz, like on the first tee box of like, how do you replace a divot? How do you fix a ball mark? And then depending on what you're wearing, then you may pass go.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's what matters. Like, that's like the most important thing. It's like, and I don't think a lot of people who play golf know a lot of those rules are like, pace of play is super important. I never play slow. And it's like, yeah, I'm wearing a tank top. Like, it's just weird how people associate like, oh, you're wearing a tank top, you don't know anything about the game of golf. And I'm like, that's so weird. It's so weird. Why is that such a thing?
And I've always said, like, what's unfortunate is that the people who have those preconceived notions are obviously older, and it's going to be up to us eventually to change those rules. But I think it's going to be a while, unfortunately. So, I mean, it's good that we're having these conversations now, but God, I feel like those 3 topics between Tiger, Brooks, and Bryson and growing the game have been like the majority of this year.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing like a tweet about it at the end of the year because I like to talk about, I like to bring back up my hottest takes because, you know, we got to piss people off somehow. And yeah, I was thinking about retweeting that tweet from the country club, just stirring the pot a little bit. But I know I've kept you literally so much longer than I promised. So I'm sorry, but thank you so much for joining us. I so appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I mean, I could talk to you for hours, so love to be back on sometime.
Well, we will get to do that because we'll have to come play Winter Park 9 for the PGA show. And we'll have to get together next month. So we'll finally get to hang out in person again.
And you have to come on my podcast, Playing Around. So I'd love to have you as a guest very soon.
I'm in, Paige. Thanks so much. And cheers, you guys. Have a great Friday.
Thank you.